Wealth didn't make the room feel any less small. Floor-to-ceiling glass showed a glittering skyline, the kind of city view people put on mood boards when they dream about making it. But inside Eli Cartwright's penthouse, everything shrank to a plastic stick in Amara's shaking hand. 2 pink lines. Pregnant. Amara Brooks stood in the center of the living room in an oversized t-shirt and no shoes, eyes bright and wet, chest rising too fast. She looked like hope and fear standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. "Eli," she said. "It's positive." She tried to smile. It wobbled. He stared at the test like it was a bomb someone had forgotten to defuse. At 33, Eli was at the top. His tech company, Cartwright Systems, was days away from going public. The bankers had called him visionary. The press had called him the next big thing. The numbers on the screen had more zeros than he'd ever seen in his life. He had built his life around one idea: nothing could get in the way. A baby didn't fit the plan. "Say something," Amara whispered. "Please." Eli walked to the glass and leaned his forehead against it. New York glittered beneath him like a prize he hadn't finished claiming. His reflection stared back, sharp suit, tired eyes, a man people admired. He didn't feel admirable. "I can't do this," he said. The words came out flat, like someone else had said them. Amara's hand tightened around the test. "Can't do what?" "Not now," Eli answered. "Not with everything on the line. The IPO, the board, the investors. They're watching every move I make. I can't show up with a fiancé who's suddenly pregnant. It changes everything." "It changes everything for me too," she said. "For us." He kept his eyes on the skyline. A family wasn't supposed to happen yet. "We talked about someday. This isn't someday." She let out a breath that sounded like it hurt. "I'm pregnant, Eli. Not in a PowerPoint. In real life. You don't understand the pressure I'm under," he said. Her face closed a little at that. "No. I understand exactly. You're choosing your company. It's not that simple." "It is," she replied. "I'm standing here carrying your child, wearing your ring, and you're staring at your stock price." He turned then, jaw tight. "The man who asked me to marry him," she continued, voice unsteady but clear, "said he wanted a life with me. A home. Children. You remember that, right?" "That man didn't have billions on the line," Eli said. "Everything I've worked for." "What?" she cut in. "You think our child is going to scare away your money? I think it complicates everything at the worst possible time." Amara looked at him for a long second. Then she slid the engagement ring off her finger. The tiny circle of metal hit the glass coffee table with a soft clink that landed louder than his voice ever could. "You need to decide what kind of man you are," she said. "I'm not going to sit here while you use me and our baby as a variable in your business plan." "Amara." "No," she said, backing away. "You made your position clear. You want time and space? Take it. But don't expect me to stand still while you figure out if your child fits your calendar." She walked to the door, shoulders back, chin trembling. "When you remember what matters," she said quietly, "you'll know where I was willing to be found. I won't be there anymore." The door closed behind her. The echo stayed. Eli told himself he'd call tomorrow. Then after the IPO. Then after the first quarterly earnings call. Then after the next big deal. He told himself he'd fix it when things calmed down. Things never calmed down. Her number stopped ringing. Her apartment went empty. The one person who'd loved him before the headlines vanished from his life without a trace. The IPO launched. The company soared. Billionaire lists added his name. Magazine covers printed his face. His reflection got richer. His life got quieter. 4 years didn't feel like 4 years. It felt like one long, expensive distraction. One morning, the envelope for the Children's First Foundation gala sat on Eli's desk. He'd donated, of course. He donated to everything now. It looked good. It checked boxes. It filled some nameless space inside him. But this invitation carried a familiar logo. Charity for underprivileged kids. The kind of work Amara once talked about whenever he'd complain that charity events were a waste of networking time. He turned the envelope over in his hand, staring at the date he'd already circled. "Your driver is confirmed for tonight," his assistant said from the doorway. "And your tux is back from the tailor." "Thanks, Carla," Eli replied. "What's the latest on the Vantage deal?" "All on track for signing next week." She hesitated. "Also, I thought you'd want to know, there's buzz that an education director named Amara Brooks will be at the event tonight. She's on the program." Everything in him stopped and sped up at the same time. "You're sure?" he asked. Carla nodded. "She's been in the news, well, education news. Community programs. Grants. That kind of thing." He gripped the edge of his desk. "You can cancel the gala if you want," she said quietly. "Send a donation. No one will question it." He shut his eyes. 4 years of search reports. 4 years of dead ends. 4 years of telling himself he'd do anything to see her once. Now she was going to be in a room with his name on the donor wall. "I'm going," he said. "You're sure?" "Yes." Carla studied him for a moment, then nodded. "I'll have the car ready at 7. The day crawled. Screens, meetings, signatures, none of it landed. Behind every email, he saw Amara's face that night in the penthouse. Behind every number, he saw a ghost he couldn't pay to find. Somewhere out there, a child had turned 1. Then 2. Then 3. He had no right to think the word, but it haunted him anyway. His child. When 7 finally came, he stepped into the black SUV like a man heading to trial. Outside the hotel ballroom, photographers flashed cameras at anyone who looked important. Eli moved through them without hearing their questions. Inside, crystal chandeliers, floral arrangements, white tablecloths. The usual show. Laughter floated up from clusters of guests who knew they'd be featured on society pages by Monday. Eli scanned the room. A senator. 2 CEOs. A famous singer. Not her. He shook hands, nodded at people who thought he was listening, smiled when cameras turned. His eyes kept moving. At the far side of the room, near the stage, he saw her. Not the memory of her. Her. Amara stood in a deep green dress that fit her like it had been tailored with affection. Her hair fell in soft curls around her shoulders. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She didn't have to. She was surrounded by people listening to her with real interest, laughing at something she just said. She looked settled. He stopped breathing. Amara turned slightly, maybe to gesture, maybe to scan the room. Her gaze met his. Her smile vanished. Her shoulders pulled tight. 4 years sat between them like a wall. The ballroom noise faded. The music, the forks, the laughter, they turned into a dull blur under the pressure of that one look. Then a small voice cut through it all. "Mommy, who's that man staring at you?" Eli's eyes dropped. A little girl stood beside Amara, hand wrapped around her fingers. She was 3, maybe 4. Brown skin. A head of curls in a puff. Curious eyes that looked far too familiar. His jaw clenched. His chest tightened. If he'd seen a photo of her anywhere else, he wouldn't have needed a caption. His daughter. The girl looked at him, studying his face like a puzzle. Amara stepped protectively closer to her, her hand on the small shoulder. She said something to the child, soft, low. The girl nodded. Eli didn't feel his feet move. 1 second he stood across the room. The next, he was close enough to see the exact shade of the girl's eyes. They were his. Up close, the resemblance was impossible to ignore. The brows. The jaw. The way she tilted her head slightly when she studied something. "Hello, Eli," Amara said. Her voice didn't shake. That almost hurt more. "Amara," he managed. Her name stuck in his throat. "It's been a while." "4 years," she said. "And some months. But who's counting?" The little girl tugged her dress. "Mommy, is he your friend?" Amara kept her eyes on Eli. "This is Mr. Cartwright," she said. "He's someone I used to know." The girl stepped forward, none of her mother's caution in her face. "I'm Riley," she announced. "I'm 4.5. Eli dropped into a crouch, as if moving too fast would scare her off. "Hi, Riley," he said. His throat burned. "It's very nice to meet you." She stuck out her hand. He took it. Her fingers were warm and small. "Mr. Cartwright," a woman said, approaching. "They're starting the program soon. And Amara, you're up right after the opening remarks." Eli glanced up. The woman, mid-30s, sharp eyes, protective energy, rested a hand on Riley's shoulder. "Thanks, Dana," Amara said. "I'll be there." She looked back at Eli. "I have to speak." "Juice, Mommy," Riley murmured. "You promised." "Yes." Amara kissed the top of her head. "Go with Aunt Dana. Get Juice. I'll be right there." Riley looked up at Eli again. "Bye, Mr. Cartwright." "Bye, Riley," he said. She skipped away, elephant-pattern tights visible under her dress. Amara turned to follow, but Eli reached out and touched her arm. "Please," he said. "Can we talk? After your speech. Just 20 minutes. Somewhere quiet." She glanced pointedly at his hand until he let go. I don't know what's left to say, she replied. Everything, he said. There's everything to say. Something in his voice must have landed, because she hesitated. East Garden, she said. Past the glass doors, by the fountain. After the program. 20 minutes. I'll be there, he answered. We'll see, she said. She walked away, spine straight, dress swaying with each step. Dana shot him one hard look before disappearing into the crowd with them. Eli stood alone. He slipped to the back of the ballroom as the lights dimmed and the program began. The host spoke. A video played. Donors were thanked. Then they called her name. Please welcome our Director of Education Programs, Ms. Amara Brooks. Applause filled the room. She took the stage, not like someone who wanted attention, but like someone who had a job to do. Her voice carried across the ballroom, clear and confident. She talked about after-school programs and literacy rates. About kids who needed laptops more than luxury toys. About classrooms that didn't have enough books. She didn't talk about him. She didn't look at him. She was good. Not TV good. Real good. She had built something without him. He wasn't part of her story anymore. When the speeches ended and the band started playing again, Eli slipped out the side doors into the cooler air of the garden. Stone paths. Soft lighting. A fountain in the center throwing arcs of water into the air. He paced. Checked his watch. Rehearsed sentences and threw them away. 5 minutes. 10. 15. He deserved to be left waiting. The glass door clicked open. You came, she said. He turned. She stood a few feet away, arms crossed to ward off the chill. Of course I came, he replied. I've been trying to get to you for 4 years. You didn't try hard enough, she said. I hired people to find you, he said. No one could. I changed my last name back to my mother's, she replied. Moved to a city you didn't care about. Started over. She walked to the edge of the fountain and sat on the stone ledge. I had to make sure you couldn't just show up with lawyers and a checkbook, she added. You fix things with money. I couldn't let you try that with her. He moved closer, but not too close. Is that really what you thought I'd do? I didn't know what you'd do, she said. That was the problem. Eli, you made your choice. You chose your company over your family. I was wrong, he said. No speeches. Just the truth. I know that doesn't fix anything, but it's true. I was wrong. Regret doesn't pay for diapers, she said evenly. Regret doesn't sit up at 3 a.m. with a feverish baby. Regret doesn't answer questions when your 4-year-old asks where her dad is. He swallowed. Does she know? She knows she has a father who couldn't be with us, Amara replied. That's all I ever told her. I wasn't going to let your fear become her wound. He stared at the fountain, the water catching light in small, careless arcs. She's incredible, he said. Riley. She's smart, Amara said. Stubborn. Asks too many questions. Reads ahead of her age. Hates carrots. I love elephants. She likes elephants, he asked. She met one at the zoo last year. Won't shut up about them. They fell quiet for a moment. Then he said, I don't deserve to ask this. I know that. But I'm going to ask anyway. Before you ask, the narrator's voice would say here, if this were a documentary, let's pause. Because right here, some of you watching or listening are already shouting at the screen. You've seen men like Eli. You've lived through choices like his. You know what it feels like when someone picks ambition over you. Alright. Back to the garden. Back to the man who walked away, and the woman who had to raise a child without him. Eli took a breath. I want to know her, he said quietly. I want to know my daughter. I know I don't have the right to ask. I know I wasn't there. But I'm here now, and I am not walking away again. Amara studied him. I don't trust you, she said. No drama, just fact. I don't trust that you won't make everything about your schedule and your deals. I don't trust that you won't disappear when things get hard. I don't trust that this isn't guilt talking instead of growth. Then don't trust my words, he replied. Watch my actions. Give me rules. Boundaries. Whatever you need. I can't undo what I did, but I can show up now. She looked away, toward the ballroom where music leaked faintly through the glass. For her, she said. Not for me. For her, he agreed. And, yes. For me too. But first for her. She stood up, smoothing her dress. I'll think about it, she said. That's all I'm promising. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me, she replied. If I say yes, you'll have to work for it. She walked back inside, leaving him by the fountain with nothing but the sound of water and the weight of his own choices. For the first time in his life, everything he wanted couldn't be bought, scheduled, or negotiated. It had to be earned. Take a second. Tell us in the comments. Where are you watching from? What's the biggest lesson you see in this story so far, about love, choices, or timing? And if you want more stories like this, about heartbreak, second chances, and women who refuse to stay small, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video so YouTube keeps bringing you back to this channel. The email came 3 days after the gala. Eli was in his office, staring at a slide deck he'd already approved twice, when a new notification appeared in the corner of his screen. From amara.brooks@childrenfirst.org. Subject, Riley. He clicked it so fast his mouse slipped. There's a park on 82nd and Riverside. Saturday at 2 p.m. You can meet her there. Ground rules. You're Mr. Cartwright or Mr. Eli for now. No gifts that scream money. If you're late, we're gone. This is about her. Not us. Don't confirm if you can't commit. Amara. He read it twice. Then he replied with one line. I'll be there. Saturday came wrapped in cold spring sun and thin clouds. The park was busy but not crowded. Kids ran across the playground and parents clustered around benches, half talking, half scrolling their phones. Eli got there 20 minutes early. He sat on a bench near the swings, a small bag beside him. Inside was a single gift, a soft gray elephant with floppy ears and stitched eyes. At 1:58, he checked his watch again. At 2 o'clock, he heard a small voice. "Mommy, can I go now?" He turned. Amara walked across the park in jeans, sneakers, and a light coat. No makeup, hair pulled into a simple puff. She looked tired and beautiful and exactly like the woman he'd thrown away. Riley held her hand, bouncing on her toes. Eli stood up, hands suddenly awkward. "Hi," he said. "Hi," Amara replied. Riley waved. "Hi, Mr. Cartwright." "Hi, Riley," he answered. "Thanks for meeting me." She looked at the bag. "Is that for me?" Amara gave him a warning look. He nodded. "It is," he said. "I kept it small." He opened the bag and pulled out the elephant. Riley's eyes widened. "An elephant," she squealed. "Mommy, look." Amara's mouth twitched, just a little. "What do you say?" "Thank you, Mr. Cartwright," Riley said, hugging it tight. "You're welcome," he replied. He looked lonely in the store. Riley giggled. "His name is Milo now." "Good name," Eli said. They moved toward the playground. Riley ran ahead, holding Milo by one ear. Eli and Amara sat on the same bench, space between them like a border neither wanted to cross yet. "She's bigger than I imagined," he said quietly. Amara watched Riley climb the play structure. "She eats like a grown man, so that tracks." He smiled. "She really likes elephants?" "She talked about the zoo trip for months," Amara said. "You chose well." Riley ran back. "Can you push me?" she asked Eli, pointing to the swings. He looked at Amara. "If you want," Amara said. "I'd like that," he answered. He followed Riley to the swings and gently pushed her, slow at first. She laughed and kicked her legs higher. "Higher, Mr. Cartwright." He pushed a little stronger, careful but not timid. Amara watched from the bench, arms folded, eyes tracking both of them. For the next hour, the afternoon settled into a simple rhythm. Swings. Slides. A game of pretend store at the sandbox. Riley asked questions in bursts. "Do you like chocolate ice cream? Do you have a dog? Why don't you have any hair on your head?" "I shave it," he said. "I used to have hair." "Show me," she demanded. He pulled out his phone and scrolled to an old photo. Riley leaned over his arm. "You look funny," she announced. He laughed. "Thank you." Through it all, Eli kept his focus on her. His phone buzzed twice in his pocket. He didn't touch it. Amara noticed. When Riley ran off to show Milo to another child, Amara spoke. "You didn't look once," she said. "Look at what?" he asked. "Your phone." He shrugged. "This is more important." She held his gaze for a moment, then looked away. When it was time to leave, Riley protested hard. "No, Mommy. 5 more minutes." "Say goodbye," Amara said gently. "We'll see Mr. Cartwright another time." Riley turned, clutching Milo. "Bye, Mr. Cartwright. Can I see you again?" "If your mom says yes," he replied. Riley looked up at Amara. Please. We'll see, Amara said. Come on. They walked away. At the park exit, Amara looked back. Eli was still on the bench, watching them go. She didn't wave. She didn't need to. She had seen enough to agree to one thing. This wouldn't be a one-time meeting. Over the next weeks, their lives shifted into a new pattern. Saturdays became Riley days. Sometimes it was the park. Sometimes a small children's museum where she could touch everything. Once, a tiny ice cream shop with wobbly tables and mismatched chairs. Riley had strawberries with sprinkles. Amara had coffee. Eli had whatever Riley ordered for him. He never came late. Not once. One afternoon at the museum, Riley tugged his sleeve and dragged him to a giant floor map. "This is the world," she announced. "Where do you live?" He pointed to New York. Riley put her finger on the same spot. "We live here too," she said. He nodded. "Good neighbors." She moved her finger down. "Mommy says we used to live somewhere else when I was a baby. But I don't remember." Amara, standing nearby, stiffened slightly. Eli glanced at her, then back at Riley. "Some places are meant to be memories," he said. "This place is for now." Riley nodded like that made sense. After 3 weekends, Amara stopped standing apart. She started joining them. On a Sunday morning in Central Park, she walked beside Eli while Riley ran ahead on the path, Milo tucked under one arm. "How's work?" she asked. "Loud," he said. "Busy." "Different." "Different how?" "I leave early on Saturdays now," he said. "People notice." She raised a brow. "They complained?" "Carla threatened to disconnect my email if I answered anything during my time with Riley," he said. Amara cracked a smile. "I like Carla." "So do I," he replied. "More every week." Riley ran back, panting. "I'm thirsty." "There's a cart up ahead," Eli said. "Water or juice?" "Juice," she said. "Orange." "No bits." He looked at Amara. "It's fine," she said. "One juice won't break her." He bought 2 bottles of water and 1 orange juice. Riley scrunched her face when she took the first sip. "It has bits," she declared. He winced. "I failed the mission." She held the cup out. "You drink it." He did. She laughed. "You made a funny face." He smiled. "Your review has been noted. Next time, no bits." Amara watched them, something soft in her expression. That night, after Riley was asleep, she sat at her small kitchen table, laptop open. An email draft stared back at her. "You've been consistent. She asks about you every day." She stared at the blinking cursor, then added, "I'll allow 1 weeknight visit. Pick her up from school. Bring her back by 7:30. Don't be late." She hovered over send for several seconds. Then clicked. The first weekday visit felt different. Eli left the office at 3:15 p.m. Phones buzzed as he walked through the open-plan floor. A few people stared like they'd seen a solar eclipse. "Are you heading out early?" one board member asked in passing. Yes, Eli replied. Family thing. He didn't explain. At the school gate, Riley came out in a stream of kids. The second she saw him, she broke into a run. Mr. Eli. He crouched to meet her hug. You came. Of course, he said. I'm on time, too. She looked satisfied. Mommy said if you were late, we'd leave. And I would take Milo and all my drawings. I'm glad I avoided that tragedy, he said. They walked to a nearby cafe with kid-sized chairs and crayons on the tables. Over grilled cheese and tomato soup, Riley explained her entire social world, who shared snacks, who didn't, who pushed on the swing too hard. He listened like a man at the most important meeting of his life. He dropped her home at 7:18 p.m. Inside the apartment, Amara checked the time on the stove. You're early, she said. Traffic was kind, he answered. Riley ran to her room to change into pajamas. The door clicked shut. She has a school trip next month, Amara said. The zoo. They need chaperones. Okay, Eli said. She wants you to go, Amara added. I told her I'd think about it. He swallowed. If you're comfortable with it, yes. I'd like to. You'll be around other parents. You'll be under her teacher's eye. It's controlled. I can be controlled, he said. We'll see, she replied. But she didn't say no. A week later, Eli stood with a group of parents and caregivers outside the zoo entrance, listening to a teacher read out rules. Riley held his hand tightly. You have to stay with my group, she said. We're the Penguins. Strong team, he replied seriously. As they watched seals and lions and eventually elephants, Riley's joy was loud and bright. She tugged his arm every few minutes. Look, Mr. Eli. He's splashing. Look. That one is sleeping. Why is that monkey scratching his butt? He laughed more that day than he had in years. At lunch, another mother leaned over. You're Riley's dad? She asked. He froze for a second. Friend, he said. Mr. Eli. She nodded. Either way, she adores you. It's cute. He looked at Riley, who was feeding a piece of carrot to Milo the elephant like it was alive. Yeah, he said quietly. I adore her, too. After the trip, they dropped Riley off. She ran inside, talking a mile a minute about elephants and penguins and why monkeys shouldn't be allowed in polite society. When her bedroom door closed, the apartment finally went quiet. Amara leaned against the wall. She had a good day, she said. She made it a good day, he answered. You didn't take a single call, she added. I turned my phone off, he said. She blinked. Off? Completely? Yes. A slow, surprised smile crossed her face. That's new. Some things needed to get old, he replied. She watched him for a moment, then nodded. Thank you. For what? For taking this seriously, she said. For showing up. For not making me regret this. I won't, he said. We'll see, she repeated. But the edge of doubt didn't cut as deep as before. Time did what time does. Weeks turned into months. Eli learned small details no resume could teach him. Riley hated peas but loved broccoli. She slept with 3 stuffed animals in the same precise formation. She couldn't stand wet socks. She hummed when she concentrated. He adjusted his calendar around her, not the other way around. He said no to evening events. He put board calls earlier in the day. Carla, his assistant, started labeling blocks on his schedule simply as unavailable. The first time a board member questioned it, Eli answered without apology. "That's my time with my daughter," he said. "The business will be fine." It was. One Friday, Riley came out of her room in pajamas, hair damp from a bath, Milo tucked under her arm. "Mommy?" she asked. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure," Amara said, folding laundry on the couch. "Can I call Mr. Eli Dad?" Riley asked. "Other kids have dads. I want one too." Amara's hand stilled on a t-shirt. "He's been here a lot," Riley added. "He picks me up, he comes to the zoo, he reads stories. That's what dads do, right?" Amara sat down. "Riley, listen. Names mean things. Dad isn't just a fun word. It's a promise. It means someone is staying. It means they're there even when things aren't fun." "He stays," Riley insisted. "I know," Amara said softly. "But I need to be sure before I change what you call him." "Can you ask him?" Riley pleaded. "Please." Amara hesitated. Then nodded. "I'll talk to him." That Sunday, after a trip to the bookstore, they sat in a quiet corner cafe. Riley was in the bathroom with a kid's stool and too much soap. Amara stirred her tea. "She wants to call you Dad," she said. Eli froze. He set his cup down carefully. "What did you tell her?" he asked. "That I'd think about it," Amara said. "That it's not just up to her." He swallowed. "What's it up to?" "You," she said. "And me. And whether you're really ready to carry that title. Not just when it's weekends and trips and swings. When it's hard. When she's sick. When she's a teenager and slamming doors." "I want it," he said, no hesitation. "Wanting it isn't enough," she replied. "You walked away once. And I've walked back every time since you opened the door," he said. "I'm not leaving again." She looked at him. "If she calls you Dad and you disappear, I won't be able to fix that wound. Not with therapy. Not with time. Not with anything." "I'm not leaving," he said again. "Not because of a deal, not because of pressure, not because of fear. If you tell her she can call me that, I will live up to it or die trying." Amara studied his face. He didn't look like a man pitching a product. He looked like a man terrified of failing a child. "Okay," she said at last. "We'll try." Riley came back, hands still a little soapy. "Mommy, I washed my hands twice." "Good," Amara said. "Sit down, baby." Riley climbed onto her chair. "Riley," Amara said, "we talked about what you asked." Riley leaned forward. "About Dad?" "Yes," Amara said. "If you want, you can call Mr. Eli Dad." Riley turned to him slowly. "Really?" she whispered. "Really?" he said, his voice rough. Her smile exploded across her face. "Hi, Dad," she said. He closed his eyes for a second. "Hi, Riley," he answered. "I'm really glad to be your dad." The title settled around the table like a blessing. For Eli, it felt heavier and better than any award he had ever accepted. Because things are better. But we're not happy ever after yet. Not even close. 3 months after that cafe conversation, Eli sent a message. "Dinner at my place? Both of you. No staff. I'll cook. You can inspect every drawer if you want." Amara stared at the text. His penthouse had been a cold set piece the last time she'd seen it. Glass. Steel. Silence. A man and his trophy view. She thought about saying no. Riley ran into the room with a drawing. "Mommy, look. It's us. You, me, Dad, and Milo. We're on a cloud." Amara looked at the sketch. 4 figures, hand in hand. A lumpy elephant floated above them. "Dad?" she asked. "Cloud dinner?" Riley's eyes lit up. "Yes. Cloud dinner." "It's not a cloud," Amara said. "It's his apartment." "Same thing," Riley replied. Amara sighed. She texted back. "We'll come. One wrong move and we're out." That Friday, she knocked on the penthouse door with Riley beside her. The door opened. The place looked different. There were still glass walls and sleek furniture. But now there was a low shelf of children's books in the corner. A small basket of toys tucked neatly beside the couch. A step stool in the guest bathroom. A set of bright plastic cups next to the crystal glasses in the kitchen. It didn't look like a showroom anymore. It looked like someone lived there. "Whoa," Riley breathed. "You live in the sky." Eli smiled. "Welcome to the clouds." They ate pasta he actually cooked. It tasted good. Not chef level, but sincere. Riley talked through most of dinner. "Dad burned the bread," she announced mid-meal. "Riley," Amara scolded gently. "It's true," Eli said. "I did. I'm filing it under lessons learned." Riley laughed so hard she snorted. After dinner, she fell asleep on the couch halfway through a movie, Milo tucked under her chin. Eli carried her to the guest room, moving slowly, as if any sudden motion would wake her and break the spell. He tucked her in, adjusted the nightlight, and stood for a long second just watching her breathe. Amara leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed. "She sleeps like that every night," she whispered. "Heavy. Like she trusts the world." "She should," he said. "At least in any room I'm in." They closed the door quietly. On the balcony, the city stretched out in a grid of light. The air was cooler up this high. "It always felt too big in here," Amara said. "Back then." "It was," he replied. "I built everything around not needing anyone." "How's that working out for you?" she asked. "Badly," he said. She almost laughed. "You've changed some things," she admitted. "I've tried to," he said. "Why?" she asked. And don't say, Riley. I know that part. Because I was wrong about what success is, he said. Because I didn't like the man I saw at the top. Because I couldn't sleep knowing my daughter existed and didn't know me. Because every time the market went up, it just made the silence louder. She looked at him carefully. Short answer. Simple truth. No speech. I don't want to go backwards, she said. Back into a life where I wait for you to come home, wondering if I'm competing with your next idea. You won't be, he replied. I'm not asking you to sign up for that again. I'm asking if you'd ever consider building something new. Different. With you, she said. With her, he corrected. And with me, if I earn it. She rested her hands on the balcony rail. When you left, she said, I held her alone in that hospital room. I looked at her face, and she had your eyes. I told myself I would never let you hurt her. That meant building a life that didn't depend on you. You did, he said. You really did. I did, she agreed. But I'm tired of doing everything alone. He looked at her, careful, patient. I'm here, he said. Not just in this penthouse. In the school meetings. In the midnight fevers. In the boring days and the hard ones. I can't erase what I did. But I can stack so many better days on top of it that one day she has to dig to find the hurt. Silence settled between them. This time, it wasn't heavy. It was real. Amara let out a slow breath. I'm not ready to say yes, she said. Not everything. I can live with that, he replied. For now. But I'm not saying no either, she added. He turned his head. What are you saying then? I'm saying keep doing what you're doing, she said. Keep showing up. Keep staying. Let's see what grows. He nodded. I can do that. She stepped back inside. He followed. Behind the closed door, Riley snored softly, hugging her elephant. Out on the balcony, the city kept glittering. And somewhere between those two worlds, the high-rise view and the small sleeping child, a different kind of life was taking shape. Not built on fear. Not built on ego. Built on second chances that had to be earned, one choice at a time. Let's pause here. Because for a lot of you watching, this moment might sting. You've seen people walk away and never come back. You've seen them pretend to change for a season, then repeat the same old story. So, tell us in the comments. Where are you watching from? What do you think? Should someone like Eli get a second chance at fatherhood and love, or are some doors better kept closed? And if these stories make you think, feel, argue, or heal, even a little, hit subscribe, like, and share. It helps this channel grow and brings more people into these conversations. Back to the story. 6 months after that first penthouse dinner, life had settled into a rhythm that felt almost normal. Not perfect. Not magically healed. But real. Eli picked Riley up from school every Wednesday. He spent Saturdays with her no matter what. He learned which snacks she liked, which songs she hated, which color her socks could never be. He and Amara spoke more. Not constantly, but honestly. She didn't let him slide into old habits. He didn't try to charm his way through the hard conversations. One quiet Thursday evening, after he dropped Riley off, Amara stood in the doorway and said, "Come in for 5 minutes." He did. She poured tea. He sat across from her at the kitchen table, the same table he'd once helped her assemble years ago before her belly had started to show. She glanced toward Riley's room, then back at him. "So, Riley has a school showcase next month. A family night." "I'll be there," he said. "She wants you sitting with us," Amara added. "Not across the room." He nodded. "I'd like that." Her eyes softened for a moment before she shut them briefly, steadying herself. "And there's something else," she said. "What is it?" She hesitated, then looked directly into his eyes. "I'm ready to try. To try us. Slowly. Carefully. But I'm not afraid of it anymore." He didn't breathe for a moment. Then, "Tell me what you need." She smiled, small, tired, hopeful. "For you not to run," she said. "Ever again." "I won't," he answered. "Not for any IPO, not for any board, not for any pressure. I promise." She reached across the table. He took her hand. Something quiet but monumental shifted between them. Not a return to the past. A beginning. The following months turned into a strange mix of calm routines and small storms. Riley started kindergarten. Amara got promoted inside the foundation. Eli made headlines, again, when Cartwright Systems hit a profit milestone no one in the industry expected. But with success came scrutiny. One morning, an online tabloid posted a headline. "Billionaire CEO seen with single mother, secret family?" A paparazzi photo showed him, Amara, and Riley walking out of a bookstore. The next day, investors called. Board members messaged. Social media exploded. Inside the company, whispers spread through the halls. "Is that his kid? He hid a pregnancy? This will be bad for the Vantage negotiations." Carla came into his office, closed the door, and said it bluntly. "You have to tell the truth before the internet tells the wrong version of it." He nodded. "I know. Do you want me to prepare a statement?" "No," he said. "I'll write it myself." When Amara heard about the leak, she went pale. "Riley," she said. "Her school. The parents there will start gossiping. She's just a kid." He cupped her shoulders gently. "I won't let her get dragged into anything. I'll handle it." "What does that mean?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Because the truth was simple. He needed to tell the world the truth before the world invented one. 2 days later, reporters filled a small auditorium at Cartwright Systems headquarters. Eli stepped onto the stage wearing a black suit, no tie. Cameras flashed. Questions flew instantly. He held up one hand. Silence settled. "For years," he began, "the public has only seen one part of me, the part that runs a company. The part that talks about innovation, profit, strategy." He paused. "But there's another part of my life, one I kept private for reasons I now regret." A murmur went through the crowd. "For years ago, I made a mistake. A very personal, very painful mistake. I walked away from a woman I loved and the child she carried. A gasp rippled through the room. I thought ambition mattered more. I thought I could fix everything later. I was wrong. He swallowed. That little girl in the photos, that's my daughter. Her name is Riley. And the woman with her is the mother of my child and the person I hurt the most. Flashes burst across the room. I'm not hiding them. I will never hide them again. And I'm asking the media to respect their privacy, especially Riley's. She is 4 years old. She deserves a childhood, not headlines. He stepped back. I won't be answering further questions about them. This is all I'll say. Then he walked off stage. Some reporters yelled questions. He didn't look back. When he reached the wings, Carla wiped her eyes. That, she whispered, was the first honest thing I've ever seen a CEO say on camera. He smiled faintly. It was time. For anyone watching this on YouTube, you already know what happened next. The internet did what it always does. Half the world praised him. Half the world cursed him. Everyone had an opinion. Some said he was brave. Some said he was trash. Some said Amara should never give him another chance. Some said it was destiny that brought them back together. Amara sat on her couch, Riley asleep in her lap, the press conference playing on her phone. She watched Eli's face as he spoke, watched the sincerity in his eyes, watched the way he said Riley's name like it was his anchor. She pressed a hand to her mouth. She hadn't expected him to say all that. When the video ended, there was a knock at her door. Eli stood outside, still in the suit, looking exhausted. "Can I come in?" he asked. She let him. "I didn't plan to say everything," he admitted. "But once I started, I knew I had to." "I saw," she said. "You didn't hold back. I figured I owed the truth to both of you." They stood in the living room, inches apart. "You know this means the world will ask questions," she said. "They'll guess. They'll judge. They'll assume things." "They can assume all they want," he replied. "I'm not living for them." She nodded slowly. "Riley's world can't change," she said. "Routine. Stability. Safety. That comes first." "I know. And us," she paused. "We keep taking it slow." "Slow," he agreed. But there was something in his eyes, a softness, an ache, that told her he still hoped slow didn't mean never. It happened on a regular Tuesday. The sky was gray. Rain threatened all afternoon. Riley was sick, nothing serious, just a fever and a cough. Amara had taken the day off to stay home with her. At 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. Eli stood there with a bag of groceries. Amara texted that she was sick, he explained. "Figured I'd bring supplies." Inside the bag. Ginger tea. Thermometer. Children's Tylenol. Soup ingredients. And a tiny stuffed cloud with a smiley face. "For when she feels better," he said. Amara blinked, fighting tears. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," he said. "Let me cook." "You cook now?" "I follow instructions now," he corrected. He made soup. He measured medicine. He sat on the floor beside Riley's bed reading her story after story until her fever went down. Amara watched from the hallway. There was no performance for him. No ego. No attempt to impress. Just a dad being a dad. Just a man trying to be better than he had been. When Riley fell asleep, his hand resting on her back, Amara whispered, "Eli." He stood and followed her into the hallway. Without thinking, she stepped forward and hugged him. Not polite. Not hesitant. Not symbolic. A real hug. 1,000 unspoken things pressed into one embrace. When she pulled back, tears shone in her eyes. "You didn't run," she said. "I won't," he whispered. It wasn't a ring. Not yet. Instead, one crisp morning, Eli brought Amara and Riley to a quiet office building. "What is this?" she asked. "You'll see." Inside, a lawyer sat waiting. A stack of papers sat on the table. Eli turned to Amara. "This is my will," he said. "And this," he pointed to several folders, "is my legal acknowledgement of paternity. Custody arrangements. Financial protections. Guardianship. Everything Riley deserves." Amara stared at him. "I'm signing all of it," he said. "No conditions. No expectations. No pressure on you. She deserves security no matter what happens between us." Her lip trembled. "And if something happens to me," he continued, "Riley gets everything. You get everything necessary to care for her. My lawyer will walk you through all of it." Amara covered her mouth. "Eli," she whispered. "This is long overdue," he said. "You're not doing this for me." "No," he said. "I'm doing it for her." She wiped her eyes. "This is the first time I believe you're here for the long run." "Good," he said softly. "Because I am." The Children First Foundation gala sparkled with lights and cameras again. Eli stood at the podium, Riley perched on his hip, Amara standing beside them. Tonight, they were announcing something big. A new philanthropic fund, the Cartwright Brooks Trust, dedicated to supporting single parents and educational opportunities for underserved children. A huge cheer filled the ballroom. Eli leaned into the microphone. "5 years ago," he said, "I made the biggest mistake of my life. I walked away from the people who should have been my first priority. But life has a way of handing you a second chance, if you're brave enough to take responsibility for the first one." He turned to look at Amara. "And someone brave enough to forgive you." She smiled slowly, warmly. When the applause finally faded, he turned to her fully. This time, he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. Amara's breath caught. "I know we said slow," he said. "But I also know we've spent the last year building something strong. Something honest. Something that's bigger than our past." He knelt. Riley gasped. "Mommy. He's doing the thing." Laughter rippled across the room. Eli opened the box. "Amara Brooks," he said, voice steady, "will you marry me? Not because it's convenient, not because the world is watching, but because I love you, because I love our daughter, because I want every day of my life to be built around the family I almost lost." Tears streamed down Amara's cheeks. She nodded, covering her mouth. "Yes," she whispered. Yes, Eli. Yes. The crowd erupted. Riley wrapped her arms around both of them. We're gonna be a real family, she squealed. We already are, Amara said, kissing her forehead. That night, back home, Riley asleep in her room, Amara curled against Eli on the couch. You know, she murmured, I never thought we'd get here. I did, he said quietly. The moment I saw you at that gala, I knew I was getting a second chance to get everything right. She kissed his shoulder. Just don't mess it up again. I won't, he promised, his hand resting gently over her heart. I have too much to lose. Too much to protect. Too much to love. Outside their apartment, the city glowed against the night, alive, relentless, endlessly pulsing with second chances. Inside, the three of them lay tangled in warmth and quiet. A family rebuilt. A father redeemed. A love restored. And a future wide open. If you've made it this far, share in the comments. What did this story teach you about forgiveness, responsibility, or second chances? And where in the world are you watching from? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story so more people can join this global family of storytellers.